Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one, I'm excited to share with you an overview of the 17th Guards Tank Division, a new Soviet division available in the SOUTHAG expansion. The last of the 10 divisions are now released and available early if you own the expansion pass or gold edition. Let's jump on in. We're going to go through all of the units and then we'll put together a quick deck. So starting here in the logistics tab, we have ourselves the GAZ-66, which is a 600 supply vehicle, 90 km/h on road, 60 km/h off road. It's all right for 25 points. Then we've got the MTLB, which is your armored supply vehicle, same supply amount but slower on road, so it makes it less desirable. Then we've got an MI9, which is a leader, so decent for capping sectors on the back side of the map, but if you try and capture contested sectors with it, it's just going to die. It's going to get spotted very easily. Then we've got the Kraz, which is a 60 point supply vehicle, very good supply vehicle because it comes in with 2000 supply, 90 km/h on road, 65 km/h off road, which is reasonable enough. And there's the MI6, which is a supply vehicle, 2000 supply. Kind of feel like it should be more considering how big this is, but 65 points. Yeah, decent amount of supply just for kind of landing further back and resupplying your trucks from a little further forwards than something like a FOB. Then we got the BMP-1K3, which is a decent leader vehicle because you get 3 on a card for 70 points. It is armed with decent weapons. I say decent weapons, reasonable weapons. You know, it has its main gun. It's got the Malutka and the PKT, so it can somewhat defend itself against sort of flanking units. But yeah, generally just cheap, and you got a decent amount, and it has armor. Then you got the faster truck here, 100 km/h speed on road, 80 points, 3 on a card, and then there's also the Stadion, which is a pretty nice option because it has a bit of armor. It's 100 km/h on road, only 50 km/h off road, so it's very slow. Stuff will catch up to it in forests, so do bear that in mind. But otherwise, you know, reasonable armored command, very interesting looking vehicle. And then there's of course the FOB. And moving on to the infantry, we have the Kommandatura, which is your 4-man security squad. They can come in with the BTR-70, which is also a security vehicle, as well as the UAZ, which is another security vehicle, or sorry, military police vehicle specifically. Military police is removing reservist trait, and it also gives a suppression regeneration bonus, which is potentially even more important in a lot of cases. Then we've got Reserve Pulamachiki, which is an 8-man squad with 5 AKs and 3 PKMs. Can be brought in with the Euro or the BTR-152. Generally recommend the BTR because it gives you that extra fire support. And then there's standard Pulamachiki, which are reasonable squads. Again, 4 AKs, 3 PKMs, but also an RPG-22. And in this case, they can be brought in with GAZ, BMP-1, or the BMP-1 with the Fargo instead of the Malutka. Then there's the Reservisti Komroti. So these are a reservist leader, 8-man squad, 7 AKs, PKM, RPG. The RPG is okay, 14 pen, 55% accuracy, 675 meter range. And again, you can bring them in the BTR. And then the standard Reservisti, kind of similar. They just trade out the PKM for an RPK. The nice thing about the RPK actually is it is move and shoot, so it can fire on the move, whereas the PKM has to like stop and fire. So when you're charging at enemies with these squads, they're actually going to be okay. You get 12 on a card for 30 points, and they can come in with the BTR-152 as well. So yeah, good amount of spam there potentially. Then we got the Sapari Komroti, 4-man squad with an RPG-7 VL, which gets 18 penetration at 765 or 675 meter range. It gets 60 accuracy because of the 1 vet. Can be brought in with the UAZ or the BTR-70. Then we got Reserve Sapari, 7 AKMs and a DPM with satchel charge, shock trait, 35 points. There's also reserve sappery with flamethrowers, 2 PPS 43s going back to World War II, AKMs and LPOs, again shock trait, and then there's standard sappery, 7 AKs, PKM, satchel charge, can be brought in with the Gaz or the BTR 70. We've got the Monostrauki Kamroti, 4-man squad again, 3 AKs, SVD, RPG-22 and Smoke. Smoke's always nice to have, it's the first one we've seen with Smoke so far. And the RPG-22 is a reasonable AT weapon for defending itself. Can be brought in with the BMP-1 or the BMP-1P. And then we got the Monostrauki, the standard Monostrauki. 7-man squad, 6 AK-74s, RPK-74 and the RPG-7VL. Again, BMP-1, BMP-1P or the Gaz. Then SPG-9 squads available. They're okay. I mean, 14 pen, unfortunately not as long range as something like the M40 because it's not as big, but 1,400 meter range, BTR 70 can be brought in with those, as well as the Gaz, of course. But at the bottom here, some interesting new units. The KGB arrive. So we've got some leader KGB, 7-man squad, security trait, and military police trait. So military police, of course, reducing suppression regeneration bonus and removing reservist. And then we got security, which increases their optics from normal to good while they are not moving. Then we've got the sort of KGB normal squad here. So these guys have a 6 AKs, PKM, SVD, and RPG-22. Pretty decent squad for 55 points, honestly. Again, military police security. Gaz, BTR, and BTR with a grenade launcher on it. As transport potential. This is a really nice fire support unit, the one with the grenade launcher. And there's also the Dush KGB. These guys, like basically airborne. 11 strength squad, 9 AKs, 2 PKMs. They get both a incendiary launcher, the RPO-A, and the RPG-22. So they can deal with both infantry and armor equally, which is very nice. 70-point squad, not too expensive, but have to be brought in with a helicopter, which does make them quite pricey. I guess they can be brought in with a Gaz, sorry. But yeah, they also have helicopters as options, Mi-8, Mi-8T, with rockets, which is pretty nice. Right, moving on to artillery tab, we have 82mm mortars, 4,925 meter range on those, useful for smoke. Same with the 122 or 120mm mortars, mostly useful for smoke. Can do chipping damage against enemy infantry and armor. Then we got the 122, good old M30, World War II gun. 12,000 meter range, reasonable rate of fire. Then there's the Malka, 38 kilometer range. Yeah, big old gun, almost 5 HE damage. Get a couple of these on target and they can do a lot of damage. And there's the Tulpan, which it's okay. 9,000 meter range. I found that their damage is kind of underwhelming for a 240mm mortar. So yeah, not that recommended. Then we got the ML20 152mm. Another older gun. 17 kilometer range. Reasonable rate of fire for a 152mm. And then we got the BM14M. Haven't had a chance to try these yet. 140mm rockets at 10,000 meter range, basically. Yeah, could be okay. I mean, they're priced quite highly, so I imagine they do a decent amount of damage. Alright, let's move on to the tank tab. We've got the Malutka P, the BRDM2 with the Malutka system. They do have good stealth, the BRDMs, so that's very helpful for just like ambushing. In this case, they are reservists as well, so they are losing a little bit of their base accuracy. There is also the BRDM2 with the Falanga system. 20 penetration, at 2,625 meter range. So, you know, an extra 3 pen is decent. It's also not reservist, so it's 50% accurate. I think this has potential to do a decent amount of damage. Then we got the T10s. So 3 on a card for 125 points, 2 cards available. Very good potential for a leader, just because it's well armored and it's got a reasonable gun. Like, this is a 122mm gun with 17 penetration at 1,925 meter range, 55% accuracy. Rate of fire is 8 because of leadership, or because of veterancy, sorry. Got double KPVT. Yeah. I think for the price, these are actually pretty good. And there's also the non-leader variant here. The non-leader variant is reservist, but it's still 17 pen at 1,925 meter range with 13 front armor for 105 points. I think it's okay. I need to compare it to something like the M48 because that's around the same price point. Then we have the T64. So 20 penetration, 1,925 meter range. Certainly getting a decent amount of pen out of these, but the range is suffering a lot. But 2 on a card, 16 front armor, another really tanky leader that could be useful but don't have as much availability. And then you've got the T64R, which is going to get less armor and less penetration. So the leader in this case is way better. The leader's getting 2 more armor, 5 more penetration, which is huge. So for 125 points, these tanks, you're going to want to use them en masse, kind of run at the enemy at closer ranges. Smoke's going to be very important for this division. There's also the ISU-152. And interestingly enough, they've made this an artillery unit. So they could have very easily just made it so that this was like a direct fire gun, something like in Steel Division 2. But it actually does have indirect fire capability. It's a howitzer. So 3.3 damage at 14,000 range. It's pretty good. Like, the rate of fire is level with other 152s. So yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. 13 pen direct fire. Not great, but the 3 HE direct fire is nice. 1,925 meter range. Accuracy is very low. 8 front armor, 6 side armor. I think these are going to be really fun to use. Then we got Recon. So Mi-2 Recon helicopter. Classic 30 point, very good optic helicopter. BTR-40 comes with the twin ZPU. These guns don't do that much damage, but yeah, speedy, very good optic with good stealth, could still be useful. And then there's the BRDM-2, which gets the KPVT, which is certainly more useful for fire support. I would prefer to get the BRDM-2 over the BTR-40A, especially considering availability as well. BRDM-2 is just better all round. More availability, better gun, better off-road speed. Yeah. Reserve Resvedka can be brought in with a BTR-40 with a machine gun on it. It's not a very good machine gun, but it is a machine gun. And these guys, they are an 8-man squad. 7 AKs, RPK, RPG 7VM. Exceptional stealth, very good optics. It's alright. We got the Motorosvedka, much better squad. 6 AKs, RPK, RPG 22. They're not reservists, so they don't lack the accuracy. They do also have the IFV infantry trait, which is nice because they can combine that with the BMPs to benefit from suppression, sort of resistance. Because IFV infantry units take less suppression in combat when near an infantry fighting vehicle. So if you keep these together, they can be quite effective. But GAZ-66, BMP-1, Mi-2, Mi-8 and the Mi-8T with rockets are your options for transports. I would say the BMP-1 with good optics is useful to have. Then there's a BRM-1K, solid, exceptional optics, recon vehicle. And then there's the KGB recon squad, which gets military police trait and GSR trait. GSR trait pushes their optics from very good to exceptional when they're stationary. Yeah. They don't have any AT, which is a little bit sad, but otherwise reasonable weapons against infantry. Come in the truck, Mi-8 or Mi-8 with rockets. Then we've got AA, so Strela 3 is an option here. 35% accuracy because they're reservist. Can of course update them to negate that a little bit. But yeah, manpad squads gonna want more than one at a time to come out with those for sure. And then the SU-23-2, classic twin 23mm, good against helicopters, good against infantry on the ground if it's in range. Then we got the BRDM Strela 1. It's okay, like 5 HE, static accuracy is 10% better than the motion accuracy, 2,650 meter range against helicopters. Like it's a decent anti-helo option. And we got OSAs. These are going to be your long range option for this deck. 7 HE with that 3,875 meter range against aircraft with 55% accuracy. I do like upvetting these to make sure they hit. So yeah, decent AA. The other nice thing about 7HE is it's enough to one-shot things like Alpha Jets and some helicopters, as opposed to like 5HE, which is not. But Shilkers also available. Decent again against helicopters. And they're useful for kind of taking a little bit of extra HP off an aircraft that hangs around too long. Moving on to helicopters, only a couple options. Mi-8 with like rockets, and then Mi-8 with more rockets. So I just guess technically this is going to fire faster. These are S5s. They've got less HE, but they fire faster because they're on 3 different racks. You see how they're split on the right here? It means that they can fire them separately. Whereas these are like 2 pods of 2, but because they're twin, they're going to not fire as fast. Still going to fire pretty fast though. Still do a decent amount of damage, 0.8 damage. Yeah, I mean both are decent options. Finally, the air tab, MiG-23 MLs for 145 points. Get the R-60Ms, which are actually reasonable air-to-air missiles, particularly for killing helicopters. Like 55% accuracy, 2,125 meter range against helicopter, 3,500 against aircraft. Like 4 HE is actually a bit rough now I think about it, but yeah, it's okay. Then we've got the MiG-23 MLA, which does get the R-24. 45% accuracy, but 7,775 meter range. Yeah, not too bad. You double these up or triple these up, then they're going to be able to shoot things down quite nicely. They still get like 4 infrared missiles as well, so that's nice. Then there's the Su-17 M4, which gets 20 mil, or sorry, S-13 122mm rockets. It's going to be good for picking up infantry and light vehicles. So yeah, pretty nice ground attack aircraft with 2 R-60 air-to-air missiles as well, with 30% ECM. So might be able to help you dive helicopters as well. Then we got the Su-17 M4, which comes with 6 500 kilogram bombs, which is a nice loadout for sure. You've also, again, still got the capability to take on enemy helicopters. Like, And a good anti-helo plane needs an infrared missile, two cannons, and decent ECM. And Su-17s and Su-24s have that combination, so they're pretty good for that. Then there's the Su-17M4, which is the AT missile, the KH-29. 50% accuracy, fire and forget missile. Very useful indeed. Then there's a twin loadout, so Su-17M4 with HE cluster gets 4 500 kilogram HE bombs and 2 500 kilogram HE bombs. So it's basically the same sort of loadout. You're just switching a couple of those bombs for cluster. Well, that's certainly going to be able to deal with tanks for you. And they got the Su-17M4 with thermobaric bombs, the ODAB 500s. So 6 500 kilogram bombs that just wipe infantry. That's what they're for. Alrighty, well, not as much to go through, I felt like, than the new French division, but still a reasonable amount. We're probably just going to pop in the BMP 1K3 here. I will put in the FOB. We'll do Kraz and Yaz. I might do MTRBs. Then for infantry, I'm definitely going to bring in some of the KGB units. I think this one for sure. Really good unit with the grenade launcher. I don't know about these guys. I guess maybe with the MI8s they could be useful to have. And then it's a matter of what leader. So maybe this leader is still better. Or maybe I don't even bring a leader in this tab actually, because we have leaders here and we'll have leaders in the tank tab, because I'm probably going to be running the 2 T-64s with the better penetration. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. So then we're just looking at maybe spamming some reservisti. Kind of like the look of the Modostroki. Could add some Modostroki. Maybe just some like reserve sapari with reservisti. Because if you combine like the KGB squads with these guys, I think they'll be okay. Actually, I could probably run, that might be better, run the Pulamachiki like that. Yeah. And make sure these are both in BTRs. Cool, yeah, that'll do. Alright, artillery. I'm thinking probably just Malka. Try out one of the BM14s. Add some mortars. Smoke. We'll put them in MTRBs. Just so they're more armoured if they get caught out. And just like jump them into the armoured transports. I will take the Falanga. I'm definitely going to take 2 cards of the ISUs. And then... actually, I guess we could run like 3 cards of these. Maybe that is all the leadership I need. I could take the leaders out of this tab. That would save us some activation points. Then, like, do I want cheaper, but with reservist? I think the T-64R is still going to be more useful. Tempted to bring the reserve BRDMs as well. Okay, Recon tab. I think KGB, because they got GSR trait, is going to be important. We can do BRMs as well. Like the Recon here is going to be pretty useful. It's going to be pretty decent. And we'll run like Motor Vedka with BMP 1Ps. Then I'm going to do double OSAs with upvet. We'll bring in some Su-23 2s and maybe just a Shoka. Helicopter, I'm going to run 2 of these. And then aircraft. I'm thinking we want definitely the AT plane, the rocket plane. Maybe the cluster. Yeah, this is going to be important for like killing high value tanks. Although I say that, maybe I want to run 2 cards of MiGs. I might run 2 cards of MiGs. Okay, well this is certainly going to be an interesting deck. Reordering it. Let's call that the 17th Guards tank. Both of the new divisions are very spammy, but this should be good fun. Let me bring that up for you guys. There you go. So, yeah, it's going to be smoke dependent if you want to use the T-64s in the open. I might need to add more leaders because now I look at it, I'm thinking I don't have enough leaders to also use my leaders offensively. So I might switch out maybe a card of T-64s for some T-10s or something like that. But otherwise, yeah, big tank spam, big infantry spam with artillery support, reasonable support assets. Yeah, should be fun to play. Looking forward to it. But that's all I've got time for. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.